Clara was just 18 when her world turned upside down. Her father, a once respected businessman, lost everything in a scam. The house they lived in was sold, their savings disappeared, and creditors knocked on their door every day. Clara watched as her father sank into despair, drinking more and working less. She felt trapped under the weight of his failures and the stares of neighbors who whispered behind closed doors. One evening, after another argument with her dad, Clara sat alone in her small bedroom. Through the window, she saw the lights of the city far away, glowing like promises of escape. She dreamed of leaving this life behind, no debts, in no shame, just freedom. But how could someone so young find a way out? That night, she cried herself to sleep, clutching an old photo of her mother, who had passed away years ago. In her dreams, her mother whispered words of hope, "There's always a way." The next morning, while walking home from school, Clara met a charming stranger named Leo. He was tall, with kind eyes and a warm smile that made her forget her troubles for a moment. They struck up a conversation at a cafe, where he listened intently as she talked about her dreams and fears. Unlike others, Leo didn't judge her or pity her, instead, he offered encouragement. Over the following weeks, Leo became a regular part of Clara's life. He took her to places she'd never been before, art galleries, parks, even fancy restaurants. For the first time in months, Clara felt alive again. Leo seemed too good to be true, but she didn't care. He made her laugh, gave her hope, and promised her a better future. But there was something mysterious about him. Whenever she asked about his past, he changed the subject. Still, Clara convinced herself that it didn't matter. All that mattered was the present, and the promise of tomorrow. One rainy afternoon, Leo finally revealed his plan. "I can help you," he said softly, looking straight into her eyes. "We can leave this place together. I have enough money to pay off your father's debts and give us both a fresh start." Clara froze. It sounded perfect, almost magical. No more debt collectors calling late at night, no more arguments with her father. Just peace. But deep down, she knew it wasn't that simple. Marrying a stranger wasn't something most people did lightly, especially not someone barely out of childhood. Still, a desperation clouded her judgment. When Leo proposed marriage, Clara hesitated only briefly before saying yes. It felt like the only choice left. Her father, however, reacted differently. At first, he refused to accept Leo's offer, claiming it was dangerous. But when Leo handed over a check big enough to clear all their debts, even Mr. Johnson softened. Maybe he thought that this was the answer they needed. Preparations for the wedding moved quickly. Clara spent her last days in town packing clothes and saying goodbye to friends. Most were surprised by her decision but wished her well anyway. Only her best friend, Mia, voiced her concerns. "Are you sure about this?" Mia asked one evening. "You barely know him." "I don't have a choice," Clara replied quietly. "This is my chance to make things right." On the wedding day, Clara wore a simple white dress borrowed from a neighbor. Her father walked her down the aisle, tears streaming down his face. As she exchanged vows with Leo, Clara tried to focus on the positives, the new beginning waiting for her, but fear crept in, whispering doubts she couldn't ignore. After the ceremony, Clara and Leo flew to a beautiful island for their honeymoon. Everything seemed perfect, turquoise waters, the golden sands, luxurious resorts. Leo showered her with gifts and attention, making her feel special. Yet, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. During quiet moments alone, she wondered if she'd made the right choice. Was running away really the solution? And what exactly did Leo expect from her in return? One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the sunset, Leo confessed something surprising. "I've been waiting for someone like you," he admitted. "Someone brave enough to take a leap of faith." Clara smiled, wanting to believe him. But inside, she still felt unsure. Back in the real world, Clara adjusted to life in the city with Leo. They lived in a modern apartment filled with sleek furniture and high-tech gadgets. On the surface, everything looked ideal. However, Clara soon realized that Leo worked long hours, leaving her alone most of the time. To pass the time, she explored the neighborhood, visiting cafes and bookstores. Slowly, she started meeting people and building a new social circle. One person stood out, a kind librarian named Sarah, who reminded Clara of her own mother. Sarah encouraged her to pursue hobbies and interests outside of marriage. Though grateful for the support, Clara couldn't fully relax. Shadows of doubt lingered, especially whenever Leo came home late without explanation. As weeks turned into months, Clara grew bolder in asking questions. Who was Leo before he entered her life? Why had he chosen her specifically? Each time, Leo brushed off her curiosity with vague answers, which only fueled her suspicion. One day, while cleaning the apartment, Clara stumbled upon a locked drawer in Leo's desk. Curiosity got the better of her, and she opened it using a paperclip. Inside, she found documents hinting at illegal activities, money transfers, fake IDs, and suspicious emails. Shaken, Clara decided to confront Leo. That night, she waited until he returned home and demanded the truth. Leo sighed deeply before confessing everything. He admitted that he wasn't the innocent man she believed him to be. Instead, he was involved in organized crime, laundering money through legitimate businesses. Marrying Clara had been partly motivated by convenience. He needed someone trustworthy to manage his finances legally. Tears streamed down Clara's face as she processed the revelation. How could she have been so blind? Yet, despite everything, Leo swore he cared for her genuinely. If I hadn't met you, he said, I might still be living a lie. Clara didn't know whether to believe him. Part of her wanted to forgive and move forward, but another part feared the consequences of staying tied to such danger. Determined to reclaim control of her life, Clara began secretly planning her escape. With Sarah's help, she saved money, gathered important documents, and researched legal options. Meanwhile, she acted normal around Leo, careful not to arouse suspicion. One evening, during a rare quiet moment together, Clara asked Leo why he stayed with her despite his secrets. To her surprise, he answered honestly. Because you're different, he said. You remind me of the person I used to be. Though touched, Clara knew she couldn't risk her safety, or her soul, for anyone, no matter how much they claimed to care. Months of preparation culminated in a single night. Using a prepaid phone, Clara contacted authorities about Leo's activities. Then, under the cover of darkness, she packed a bag and slipped out of the apartment. Before leaving, she left a note explaining her reasons and urging Leo to turn himself in. The journey back to her hometown was bittersweet. Clara missed her family but feared facing them after everything that had happened. Still, she resolved to rebuild her life on her own terms. Upon arrival, she reunited with her father, who hugged her tightly. Together, they vowed to face the future together, stronger than before. Life wasn't easy for Clara at first. Jobs were scarce, and saving money took time. However, she threw herself into work and studies, determined to create a stable future. Along the way, she reconnected with old friends and rediscovered passions she'd set aside during her turbulent year. Mia, her best friend, supported her unconditionally. "You're braver than you think," Mia told her one day. Not everyone would have walked away from that situation. Clara smiled, realizing she agreed. Running away hadn't solved her problems, but standing up for herself had. Slowly, Clara healed from the trauma of her past. Therapy sessions helped her process emotions, while writing became a creative outlet. She filled journals with stories, poems, and reflections, turning pain into art. Her relationship with her father also improved. Though neither forgot the mistakes that led to their downfall, they learned to communicate openly and support each other. For the first time in years, laughter echoed through their home. Evenings were spent baking cookies, a tradition from Clara's childhood, and sharing dreams for the future. By the age of 19, Clara landed a job at a local bookstore, where she thrived among shelves of novels and eager readers. Encouraged by coworkers, she submitted some of her writings to literary magazines. To her delight, several pieces were published, earning praise from critics and fans alike. Success brought confidence, but Clara remained humble. She understood that growth came from struggle and perseverance, not shortcuts or escapes. When reporters asked about her past, she spoke candidly, hoping her story might inspire others facing similar challenges. Years later, Clara received news that Leo had turned himself in, serving time for his crimes. Though relieved, she felt no anger toward him. Instead, she sent him a letter expressing gratitude for teaching her valuable lessons about trust, courage, and self-worth. Receiving the letter, Leo wept. For the first time, he understood the impact of his actions and the importance of redemption. At 20, Clara stood on the brink of adulthood, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Her scars served as reminders of resilience, proving she could overcome anything. Whether pursuing further education, traveling the world, or continuing to write, she approached each opportunity with hope and determination. Running from reality hadn't worked, but running toward her dreams did. And that, Clara knew, was the key to happiness. Running away from problems doesn't solve them. True strength comes from facing challenges head-on and trusting in your own resilience. Love, trust, and honesty are the foundations of meaningful relationships, and no dream is worth sacrificing your identity or values.